All right, history nerds, buckle up. The 15th of August, 1945, the Emperor of Japan walks up to a microphone for the very first time in his life and basically says, "We're done. Game over." But here's the thing nobody tells you. That wasn't the ending. That was the opening scene of the most chaotic reality show in modern history. We're talking political coups, mass suicides, frantic document burning, and American generals landing like they own the place. Let's dive into the absolute insanity that went down in the 72 hours after Japan said uncle. Picture this, you are a regular Japanese citizen in 1945. You've been told your entire life that the emperor is a living god, not godlike, not godly. An actual, honest-to-goodness deity. You've never seen his face, you've never heard his voice. Heck, commoners aren't even allowed to look at him directly. Then, on the 15th of August at noon, the government tells everyone, tune into your radios. The emperor himself is going to speak. The whole nation freezes. Millions of people gather around crackling radio sets. And then they hear it, a thin, trembling voice, speaking in ancient court Japanese that sounds like Shakespeare got drunk and wandered into a samurai movie. The audio quality. Imagine someone recorded it on a potato wrapped in tinfoil. Most people can't even understand what he is saying because he is using 400-year-old vocabulary. But eventually the message gets through, we lost. It is over. Accept the unacceptable. The entire country immediately goes into collective meltdown mode. People collapse in the streets, sobbing. Some literally prostrate themselves on the ground, wailing. Why? Because for the first time ever, their god just admitted he was human, fallible, and defeated. It is like if your CEO, who you've never seen, who you thought was invincible, suddenly shows up on Zoom, crying and says, "Actually, we've been bankrupt for months. The cognitive dissonance is off the charts. The coup that almost deleted history, but wait. Not everyone is on board with this whole surrender thing. While the emperor's voice is still echoing through the airwaves, a group of young, hardcore military officers. These guys are basically the ride or die faction of the Japanese army decide, nope, not happening, we're gonna stop this. They hatch a plan so bonkers, it sounds like a rejected Netflix thriller. Storm the Imperial Palace, find the vinyl recording of the surrender speech, destroy it, and prevent it from ever being broadcast. So on the night of the 14th of August, literally hours before the broadcast, these rebels roll up to the palace. They murder the commanding general of the Imperial Guard. They tear through the emperor's residence like they're on a manic treasure hunt, flipping over furniture, ransacking rooms, searching for that one tiny recording disc. But here is the thing, they never find it, because the emperor's aides had hidden it in a stack of women's underwear in a lady-in-waiting's closet. I am not making this up. The fate of World War II was briefly in the hands of laundry storage. By sunrise, the coup collapses. The rebel officers, realizing they failed, gather outside the palace gates and commit ritual suicide. The broadcast goes ahead as planned. But think about this. The world came this close to Japan continuing the war because of a badly organized scavenger hunt. The Great Tokyo Bonfire covering up the receipts. Okay, so Japan has officially surrendered. The war is over. Time to face the music, right, wrong. The Japanese government and military immediately go into full-on delete everything mode. We're talking about one of the largest evidence destruction operations in history for days. Government buildings across Tokyo are billowing smoke like they're hosting the world's saddest barbecue. What are they burning? Documents about war crimes records of forced labor camps files on comfort women military sexual slavery data from Unit 731. The bioweapon human experiment nightmare, basically anything that could get them prosecuted. At a war crimes tribunal, the sky over Tokyo turns gray with ash. Witnesses describe it as looking like snow falling in August. Except it is not snow. It is the incinerated evidence of atrocities. Office workers are frantically stuffing papers into furnaces, bonfires, even toilets. Some documents are so voluminous, they just throw them into rivers. This is the geopolitical equivalent of your company getting audited by the IRS. And everyone in accounting just starts shredding everything and flushing hard drives down the toilet. It is panic, it is chaos, and it is shockingly effective. A lot of that evidence is gone forever. MacArthur lands like a final boss the 30th of August, 1945. Enter General Douglas MacArthur. This man does not do humble. He steps off his plane at Atsugi Airfield. wearing his signature aviator sunglasses and chomping on a corncob pipe like he is about to drop the hottest album of 1945. He is not site-visiting Japan. He is taking over Japan. MacArthur wastes zero time establishing dominance. He moves into the Daiichi Life Insurance building in Tokyo and basically sets up shop as Japan's new unelected ruler. And then he does the unthinkable. He summons the emperor. In Japanese history, this is insane. The emperor doesn't get summoned. The emperor summons you. But MacArthur, he is like, nah, tell your god king to come to my office. And the emperor goes. The photo from their first meeting becomes iconic and controversial. MacArthur is standing there in a casual, unbuttoned military shirt, hands on his hips, looking like he just got back from mowing the lawn. The emperor, in a formal suit, looks small, nervous, like a kid called to the principal's office. When this photo gets published in Japanese newspapers, people are shook. Some are outraged, others are devastated because the image says everything. The emperor is no longer in charge. America is in the weeks after surrender. Japanese society doesn't just change, it gets completely scrambled. The economy is in free fall. There is no food, no jobs, no money. So what pops up? Black markets everywhere. You walk through Tokyo or Osaka, and it is like a post-apocalyptic flea market. People are trading military medals for rice. Kimonos for canned food. It is economic chaos. And then the Americans arrive, not just MacArthur and his generals, thousands of GS. These soldiers bring with them chocolate bars, nylon stockings, chewing gum, jazz music, and a culture that is the polar opposite of militaristic Japan. Japanese women, especially war widows, start mingling with American soldiers. The government, terrified of chaos, actually sets up state-sponsored brothels called the Recreation and Amusement Association to protect respectable women. MacArthur shuts them down within months, but the damage and the cultural shift is already underway. Meanwhile, yesterday's war heroes are today's war criminals. Generals who were celebrated in propaganda posters are now on trial. Tojo Hideki, the former prime minister and architect of Japan's war strategy, tries to shoot himself in the chest to avoid capture. He botches it, gets arrested, eventually hanged. It is like the entire country got a forced software update overnight, from Imperial Japan OS to Democracy Beta version. Whether they liked it or not, but here is the wildest part. Not everyone got the message. Scattered across the Pacific, there are Japanese soldiers still hiding in jungles on remote islands, convinced the war is still going. Some think the surrender announcement is enemy propaganda. Others just never hear it at all. The most famous, Hiro Noda. This man hides in the Philippine jungle and keeps fighting for 29 years. He is ambushing patrols, stealing supplies, living off the land, fully committed to a war that ended in 1945. He doesn't surrender until 1974, when his former commanding officer is flown in to personally order him to stand down. Imagine this: you spend 3 decades eating bugs, hiding in caves, dodging enemies, convinced you are a loyal soldier. Then someone tells you, bro, the war ended before Star Wars came out. Also, Japan is now an economic superpower and hosted the Olympics. The psychological whiplash would be unreal. So, what happened in the 72 hours after Japan surrendered? A god spoke for the first time and sounded human. A coup tried to stop history and failed in a closet. An empire burned its sins and choked Tokyo in ash. An American general landed and became the new emperor. A society collapsed and rebuilt itself from black markets and chocolate bars. And some soldiers kept fighting decades after everyone else stopped. This wasn't just the end of the war. This was the death and rebirth of an entire civilization compressed into 72 chaotic, insane, heartbreaking hours. Like what you just heard, smash that subscribe button for more wacky history, because the past, it is way weirder than you think. Catch you next time.